and welcome to Business Connections, a program put on by the Dayton Area Chamber of Commerce. I'm Holly Allen, Director of Marketing and Communications for the Dayton Area Chamber. We are a regional chamber, and we consist of 2,400 business members based in the 9-county Dayton region. Now, of those members, 55% have 15 employees or fewer. Another 30% have between 16 and 50 employees. Those numbers alone tell us that we have a very strong small business market in the Dayton area, and we know that it's important that we have support services for those businesses to grow and be successful. And that's what we're talking about on the program today. We are welcoming Scott Koorndyk from the Entrepreneur Center. Thank you for being with us. And Belinda Stenson, who is with the Chamber, one of my coworkers. She's the director of the Minority Business Partnership. Welcome to you. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
We're talking about a couple of new prospects that are coming up on the horizon for small businesses and support services. But first, I want to start by talking about what each of your organizations does. So Scott, I'll start with you, the Entrepreneur Center. Can you tell us what you do for businesses in our community?
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, we've been around for a while, 20 years. We started in 2000, and we are an incubator.
Okay.
So we incubate small businesses. Businesses typically in their first 2-3 years of existence, and we provide business services to them. Everything from intellectual property support to business planning support to access to capital. We help them prepare themselves for capital, infusions of capital. We help them network, find first customers, really kind of solve those challenges that early stage businesses always struggle with.
Okay. Belinda, you also work with small businesses. Can you talk about, you specifically though focus more on minority, women, and veteran-owned businesses. What do you do for them?
For the Chamber, we've been under the Chamber umbrella, the Minority Business Partnership, for about 7 years now. And we do something very similar to what Scott does. But when you talk about diverse businesses, whether those businesses are minority, women, veteran-owned, small disadvantaged businesses, those challenges tend to be more acute for those businesses. So we work very closely with those businesses to define contracts that are available to help them grow, technical assistance, and also access to capital.
Okay. Scott, I did want to mention, you have some notable businesses there at the Entrepreneur Center. Can you talk about maybe one in particular I might be thinking of?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we've got a number of notable businesses, businesses that started in the Entrepreneur Center and have grown, but the business that we're particularly proud of and the recent recipient of the Chamber's Soin Award for Innovation is a business called the Design Group, or we know them as OBI. And it's this fascinating product that helps disabled individuals eat. It's a robotic feeding device.
Right.
And it literally changes lives. And so it's a product that is really well thought out. It's a product that's well designed. But most importantly, it does such good for these people. Just a remarkable story. As I said, just won the Soin Award Innovation, supported by the Chamber. Just an extraordinary company. 2 Dayton guys, University of Dayton graduates, who've just got this great idea and are now just really starting to see the benefits that they provide to customers, expanding globally. Just a great credit to this community, really.
Right. We wanted to point them out because they are kind of one of our own. And just a little plug, if you want to know more about OB and design, there's a lot of information at DaytonChamber.org. They will be focused in they will be featured in the August issue of Focus magazine, which is the Chamber's quarterly piece. And so we're really proud of them, as I'm sure you are. You've seen them grow, Scott.
Very much.
So now we have an idea of the different businesses that you are both serving in our community, but it's not just those 2 organizations, MVP and the Entrepreneur Center. Whoever wants to go first, can we talk about some of the other organizations that exist in the Dayton area to support small businesses?
Sure.
I always say the Dayton region has the most resources that I've seen in the state of Ohio to support small businesses, minority, women-owned businesses, whether it's the Dayton Development Coalition, the Minority Business Assistance Center, or SBDC organizations. We have one at the Entrepreneur Center with Scott and also one at Wright State University. So those organizations are partners. And when I say partners, those are strong partners that help support small businesses in our region.
Okay. Scott, did you
Yeah,
want to add anything?
I couldn't agree more. I think Belinda said it exactly right. As a community, I think we're very fortunate to have the kind of organizations that we do.
We really are.
Whether you're thinking about pre-seed capital, the accelerant program from the Dayton Development Coalition, whether you're talking about really early stage challenges with businesses through our SBDC networks, and then you think about organizations like the Downtown Dayton Partnership and the thought leadership that they provided around kind of the resurgence of downtown, and how that resurgence is fueled by some of these startup companies.
Absolutely.
So we're very fortunate to have really, I think, a really impressive collection of organizations that support small business.
Would you say that you all work together to a certain degree?
I would say more than to a certain degree. I would say we simply can't be successful without one another.
Absolutely.
And I would say if I would point to any difference maybe now versus 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, it's that our organizations collectively, I think, have really kind of hit our stride and are working really well together, taking advantage of the strengths of each one of our organizations.
Absolutely.
Supporting one another where we can, do something in partnership with Belinda, for example. We just know how to do that, and I think we've established a real tempo
Right.
across all those organizations,
Absolutely.
working really well together.
And I think when I joined the Chamber 5 years ago, I have seen a tremendous change. We are talking more often, we're at the table. It doesn't seem competitive like it used to,
agree.
but everybody coming to the table to say, what resources do we have to help businesses in our region? And that's very critical.
I think that's an important point, Belinda, because so often the competitiveness, I think, gets in the way of the mission, which is to support
Absolutely.
businesses. If you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, you don't care who's in competition with who, you just need help.
Right.
So that's an important point, and I'm glad to hear that that's happening in the Dayton
Yeah,
region.
absolutely.
That's very important. Well, we're here to talk about a few changes, and I know within our offices, Belinda, there have been so many rumblings about new opportunities coming to you through the Entrepreneur Center and Scott's hard work. I've heard the letters ESP about 1,000 times throughout our office. Can one of you explain what that is and what this exciting announcement is about?
Yeah. So ESP stands for Entrepreneurial Services Program.
Okay.
So the first thing we got to establish is, where did this come from, right? So we're fortunate enough to have a grant from the state of Ohio, the Development Services Agency, or the Development Services Administration, and the Third Frontier Commission. So the Third Frontier Commission is this commission which deploys state money for programs specifically, in our case, for entrepreneurial development.
Okay.
So ESP, Entrepreneurial Services Program, are resources intended to provide services to startups.
Okay.
So for us as a community, that's a $6.1 million grant.
Wow.
We just recently won that award late March. That award lasts until the end of 2018.
Okay.
So Belinda and I and our partners have a fair amount of resource that we need to deploy, do that in a pretty aggressive way to provide services to our startups.
Okay. Belinda, what does this mean for you and the work you're doing at MBP?
I think we're very fortunate to be a partner on the ESP grant because the state has identified metrics that include minority-owned businesses, women-owned businesses, and rural businesses. So when Scott came to us last year and said, we're going for this grant and we'd love for the Minority Business Partnership to be our collaborator, our partner in this effort, we were excited because that's what we do every day. And now working with Scott on ESP, we are going to have an even more focused effort on helping those businesses.
I know you mentioned that you got word in late March
I did.
that this was happening, so it's early stages, I assume. We're still talking about what this will look like.
Yeah, I think Belinda and I and the team, we did a nice job in kind of defining what the program would look like and how it would function. But you're right, Holly, we are right in the middle of implementing. In fact, we're in the early stages of implementing, truthfully. We are building our staff.
Okay.
We are releasing our programs. We just sat down with Belinda not too long ago, last 3 weeks or something like that, and started putting kind of pen to paper around how these programs come together. So it's early, no question, but we're running. There's no doubt. There's no need for people to wait. There's no need for people to let us kind of get our feet underneath us. We're ready to support companies and organizations. We're ready to support entrepreneurs. yes, we are learning and we're building as we go, as you always do in a circumstance like this. But we're open for business, as we've said. We're
And
very
that's
much.
the exciting part of it. We both have been doing some very similar work, but the benefits that this will provide to businesses, legal assistance, accounting assistance, technical assistance, support services, that's going to be a game changer for a lot of our businesses in this region.
I think that kind of alludes to what my next question is. What is the vision? So I guess the important question is, if you're a business owner, if you're an entrepreneur, you're just getting started, what does this mean to you?
Yeah, great question. Great question. So you think about starting a business. You think about kind of ideating that business, the phase of I'm thinking about an idea, I'm thinking about a concept. There are a number of challenges. How do I formulate that concept? How do I begin to build a business plan? How do I think about where am I going to be? How do I find my employees? Those real early stage questions and challenges ESP is intended to address.
Okay.
So a person who's ideating, thinking about a business, we want to talk to. Because we and other partners, our SBDC network, for example, critical partners in that. Now, once you've kind of ideated, you've got a good concept, you're starting to think about where do I grow, where do I develop, how do I find my first employee, how do I find my first customer? Well, we've got tools, techniques, resources to help there. Whether those are lawyers, as Belinda said, to protect your intellectual property, whether they're accounting firms to make sure you've got a really strong financial footing underneath you.
Absolutely.
And then you start thinking about, okay, now you've got an idea, you've got a business formed, you've found maybe a couple of customers, but now you're starting to grow. You're starting to enter the market in a bigger way. We've got resources to support that as well.
Absolutely.
And again, those resources are services. So we're providing services to these companies to make sure that they get on the right path, that they have the resources that are necessary to find that accountant, to find that lawyer, to prototype their product, to find that first customer, to find that first employee or that first leader in their company. These challenging resources that small businesses struggle to come up with, we want to provide to them. But you said strategy, you said that key word, kind of the vision. The vision for this is really this interrelated set of services that help a company move from ideation phase to market entry. And that can take some time, 2, 3, 4 years, we know that.
Absolutely.
But we want to continue that support throughout that evolution of the company.
Okay. Where will this be housed? So, if someone's watching and they're an entrepreneur, they're trying to get started, and they want to take advantage of this, where do they go? How do they get started?
Yeah. So certainly the Entrepreneur Center, I would say, call us, go to our website. You'll see some forms on our website that people can reach out to us and give us a little bit of information, and we will then connect with them. But I also say, we said earlier, this is an interconnected set of partners, right? And so I don't care at all. In fact, I love the idea. They can contact Belinda. They can contact our partners in Accelerant, the Downtown Dayton Partnership, our SBDC partners. We've spent a fair amount of time with all of our partners talking about the program. We don't care where that front door is, as long as those entrepreneurs get supported and supported well and promptly. Right?
And additionally, we will be going out. We will have outreach events. We'll be out in the community talking about this program so that we can connect with these businesses as well.
Okay.
So it's a two-way street. We're going to be out looking for them, and if they're looking for us, they have a number of front doors to access us.
Okay.
And that is an area I think that you will see us mature and grow into. What is really in an early stage is kind of our virtual presence, our online presence for this collective. That's something that we needed to have the grant in place, and we needed to make sure that the partners were aligned before we go and build this.
Yeah.
So that's very much what we're constructing now, and so as time goes on, you'll see a much more robust collection of online assets.
Okay.
But that is not to say that we're not ready to go. That's not to say that you can't go to the Chamber site, our site, and get connected with us. The point is, we don't care who the front door is. We just want to make sure that entrepreneurs get the support they deserve.
Right. I think that speaks a lot to the point earlier where, you're all working together, and so however they enter the puzzle, you're able to pass them to where they need to go. Which is, I think, one of the questions I want to ask you, because, as a chamber, we work with a lot of businesses, like I said, most of them small, and one of the issues we hear, and I don't think it's unique to the Dayton area, but one of the complaints you get from people who are looking for services is they feel that they're passed from one office to another, they don't know where to go, it's all very confusing. Is this going to help with that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, let's validate that. I think Belinda and I both agree, and in fact, in some of our early conversations last year, we both were compelled to try to solve that problem.
Absolutely.
Entrepreneurs frequently would say, look, I was kind of came to the ecosystem a couple of years ago. I tried to get engaged and I got handed from organization to organization. So a key focus and a key kind of motivator for us is to eliminate that. Now, how do you do that? First of all, you communicate with one another. So Belinda is in the same room with us. We're in the same room with Belinda, going through our list of companies that we're trying to support. So if Belinda is the right partner for that company, I know that, my partners know that, and they're getting the very best support. And then Belinda can provide those leads to us, curate that a little bit, so that these people, these companies feel like they've got somebody standing next to them.
Yeah,
They're not
they
being
have a
handed
champion.
off.
They have a champion. And through this process, I plan to continue to nurture those businesses. It's not just go and talk to Scott and I never see you again, but we'll continue to champion those companies and walk with them along that process.
Which is very important. I'm sure it's
Absolutely.
not hard to feel alone when you're starting a business, I'm
No,
sure.
and in some ways it's more difficult when there are a bunch of resources, because it's not a question of where do I go for help, it's where am I going to best find the support I need at this particular time.
Right.
And one of the reasons people feel handed off is because we all have we do what we do, and we all know we can help each other, and I think highly of the work Belinda does, so I'll send somebody to them. Well, you feel handed off, you feel very much tossed back and forth. Again, I would say it's where this online support that we'll provide, we need a little bit of time to develop that. I'm not talking years, I'm talking weeks, right? Months. We need to develop that online presence because we want to knock that challenge down immediately. We don't care where you enter, we don't care how you get there, but once you get in this ecosystem, we want to make sure you know what the partners are, how you interface with those partners, and then let us do the heavy lifting. Let us figure out who you ought to talk to, when you ought to talk, what the right kind of conversations are. That's what Belinda and I and our partners can do for these companies.
I want to throw one kind of curveball at you. I know I gave you some questions beforehand, but this shouldn't be hard. Big picture, why is this important to the Dayton region? He's looking at you, Belinda.
From my perspective, and a lot of research has been shown and data indicates that when small businesses, when minority-owned, women-owned businesses succeed, your regional economy succeeds. Our CEO and President, Phil Parker, says this all the time, a rising tide lifts all boats. So with this program, the state is requiring that we make sure we have inclusion because they understand our region will succeed when everybody benefits from the programming, the supportive services that are out there.
Well done. I didn't tell you that was coming. Scott, did you want to add to that?
You know, the only thing always following Belinda is always hard. She's pretty articulate, amazingly articulate. No, I think that you have to understand the heritage of the community, right? We're a community that is really good at research and development. We're a technology community in a lot of ways. You think about the Wright brothers, certainly, but all these other hosted technologies that have come from this community. Well, how do those things get to market? There's still that heritage of innovation in this community. It's harder maybe today, given all the paths and the global markets, and it's maybe a little harder to get to market. So we as a community, if we want to claim that legacy and build on that legacy, these startups, these early stage technology companies, these early stage entrepreneurial companies, that's where that growth is going to come from.
That's where it's at. You're right.
The drivers of the economy are, yes, thank goodness we have large companies in this community, and thank goodness they're being attracted to this community, but the vast majority of job growth is in those small businesses.
Small
Absolutely.
businesses.
And those are typically the startups, right?
Yeah.
And so if we can foster a community of startups, we can capitalize on the legacy that we have as a community. We can make sure that that legacy is available and those resources are available to the broadest cross-section in our community we can get.
Absolutely.
Then I don't see how we can lose. Frankly, I wouldn't trade the assets we have in our community for anything in the state, in the country. I'm glad and I'm proud that we live in Dayton, Ohio, that we've got the resources we have, that we've got the kind of people in the community we have. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Excellent. You did pretty well following Belinda, because you kind of set me
Thank
up.
you.
We only have a couple of minutes left, but Scott, I did want to talk to you since we have you here. We have you on the hot seat. Can you tell me a little bit maybe about the plans at the arcade?
Yeah.
We've seen some things in the news. You're partnering with UD. You've got an
Sure.
innovation center going on there, and you talked about innovation.
Sure.
What can you tell us? Inside
Yeah, well, I can tell you, I'll give you everything that I know. How about that?
scoop? Okay, we'll take it.
So first of all, you think about this heritage of innovation I just talked about, right?
Yeah.
What better place to showcase what this community is about than this beautiful arcade, the rotunda,
it's
soaring
gorgeous.
rotunda with just just you walk in there, and there's something special about that place, right?
Right, right.
And I think it reflects and represents a thriving community in the early 1900s. Well, why can't we be a thriving community again? We are, we will be. What better place to showcase that than in the historic arcade, right? So that's first and foremost, that place, there's something special about it.
Yes, we know that for sure.
Our intention and our desire is to open that up to the community and use the innovation that we all do on a daily basis to really make that place thrive. So our kind of contribution to that is our partnership with UD. University of Dayton, the Entrepreneur Center, joint venture together to run a pretty significant 82,000 square feet
Wow.
innovation center.
Wow, that's
So that's
big.
a
Huge.
big piece of that of the arcade. The rotunda, beneath the rotunda, opening what we're going to call a Shark Tank,
Wow.
kind of a theater setting where we can have pitch events and that sort of thing. But UD bringing communities and classes downtown. Vince Lewis and the Karate Center. Bringing classes downtown, entrepreneurial classes, the linkage to the engineering school, the arts program, Brian LaDuca's program from an arts perspective. Bringing that cross-section of really eclectic personalities, different backgrounds, different disciplines into a single space, we think is powerful.
It is.
So, I can't steal anybody's thunder. These are, big public projects, and so the city and the county and the developers deserve the opportunity to announce these sorts of things. But I will just say that every indication we get is that this project is moving forward. Every indication we get is that we have multiple fallback positions. Should we have a challenge one place, we can shore that up in another place. John Gower from the city is fond of saying that it's not a question of if, now it's a question of when.
Yeah,
And I believe that. And I think the when is on the very near-term horizon.
that is
You've
so
got the right
exciting.
partners, you've got the right kind of
Wonderful.
mix of people, the right kind of commitments to transform that space into really, I think, a showcase for the Midwest. There's nothing like it. We've had people come in from the West Coast, the East Coast, and they will say they've never seen anything like it. We can make that our pride and joy again. I think
Yeah.
it's exciting.
It's so exciting. This has been, for anyone who's been in the Dayton area for any period of time, the arcade has just been a consistent conversation, I think, in the background, where people just, it's so emotional for
Oh,
people who
yes.
are from here.
From
and
this area.
Yeah, they've been waiting for so long to see, and to see all these pieces fall
Yeah.
together all at the same time is incredibly exciting.
Emotional is exactly the right word. When you start talking about the project and you talk to family and friends, and they will tell you, I got engaged there. Our first date was there. You hear these stories over and over and over again. There's really something special.
Thank you for sharing that with us. We really
pleasure.
appreciate it. And thank you, Scott. Thank you, Belinda, for being my
Thank
guest
you.
today. We appreciate your insight, and we're excited to see this ESP program, continue to get off the ground and really grow and thrive and do some good things for our community. So thank you.
Thank you.
And thank you for being with us today. If you want some more information about the Chamber and what we offer to businesses, you can always go to DaytonChamber.org or get exclusive content by following us on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter. We're everywhere. Have a great day.
One of the most important strategies of any community that wants to grow its economy, expand its economic footprint, and stimulate jobs and business is to support entrepreneurs and new business startups. Our region has a legacy of growing small business. With few exceptions, all great businesses started small and grew out of hard work and strong determination. Our chamber has watched this growth by local innovators for over 110 years. But even entrepreneurs having the best ideas with the most articulated business plans find themselves needing help getting started or support to sustain themselves over the years. We're fortunate to have a number of organizations and people in our community who work every day to support our business and employment growth. Our chamber cannot do everything needed in this endeavor, and that's why we're linked to many who do. Today's program, featuring a conversation about our local Entrepreneur Center and its leader, Scott Koorndyk, was an opportunity to learn more about the Entrepreneur Center and its services. We know this information is valuable to you and others who are encouraged about starting a business. The tech services and other links can be found at the Chamber's website at daytonchamber.org. We hope you've enjoyed today's program.